So, Avengers Endgame is finally here, and it's the biggest crossover since, well, the last one. Yes, the celebration of 10 years of Marvel films carries on into 11 years as we finally complete the saga of Thanos and the Infinity Stones. And what a wild ride it is. I won't be spoiling anything past the main plot in this review, so don't worry. I won't be giving away anything crazy here. For this review, I figured it would be best to list off 5 pros and 5 cons to make things a little bit easier. With that being said, let's get started. The pros. To start off with, this movie has tons of fan service for those that have been watching since the very beginning. So many callbacks, throwbacks, and Easter eggs that'll satisfy any Marvel fan that's been watching since Iron Man. The movie is also filled with plenty of humor as well as dramatic moments that the franchise is known for. Those emotional moments are very effective, and they deliver a perfect emotional continuation of Infinity War. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and everything in between. Endgame is a perfect bookend to the saga that has been building up since 2008. Everything comes full circle, and many events are wrapped up. Lastly, it's no secret by now that the plot involves time travel, and this plot goes by the rules that every choice doesn't affect the character's own timeline, but creates an alternate reality. This helps avoid the typical conflicts used in most other time travel films, so it feels fresh, but also lowers the risk on the characters that are already taking huge risks. Now, speaking of the time travel plot, this leads us into the cons. Endgame's time travel plot is, for the most part, fairly predictable and goes pretty much how one would expect. Characters are trying to avoid their past selves, and of course something goes wrong along the way. And the time travel plot, while convenient, also opens up a huge amount of plot holes and issues if you think about it too hard. I'd go into some examples, but I didn't want to tread anywhere into spoiler territory at all, but there's a few things that just don't add up. Certain characters outside of the main team are barely seen, have no screen time, or are underutilized. Without giving any major spoilers away, Captain Marvel really sucked in this one. There's a good chance that your favorite character might not get the screen time you were hoping for in Endgame. This next one's kind of a nitpick, but there was no cool shot featuring all the main heroes at once, which is what I really wanted. This was used in both the original Avengers and Age of Ultron, but was absent from Infinity War. I figured that this was mostly due to most of the characters being separated or just missing from the film altogether, and that they would do it in Endgame. Unfortunately, there was no such luck. Lastly, the movie isn't nearly as action-packed as Infinity War, which isn't really a bad thing. However, the time travel aspect seems to take way too long and slows the film down considerably. This means there's a really large chunk of runtime before any payoff, as opposed to Infinity War's constant action and story progression. In other words, Infinity War doesn't feel that long by comparison, but with Endgame you really feel that 3-hour runtime. To sum it all up, Avengers Endgame is in all aspects a movie for the fans. It's packed with fan service and callbacks to the MCU's past. It's a bit slow and predictable, there are some big holes in plot and logic, and you may be disappointed in the amount of screen time your favorite character gets. However, above all else, you will be satisfied. The entire saga, from Iron Man to Endgame, finally concludes itself. Some stories end, and some bring new beginnings. Avengers Endgame is a truly fitting end to this 11-year-long journey and historical franchise that is sure to please any Marvel fan and leave them satisfied by the end. For the casual viewer that may not be as invested in the MCU, this film may leave you lost with the sheer amount of characters, callbacks, and fan service brought from past films. There is a significantly slower pace than Infinity War without the action to keep you entertained and make up for the confusion. So, for that casual viewer, I would have to give the movie a solid 6 out of 10. On the other hand, if you're a big Marvel fan like me, like Infinity War before it, this movie is a perfect 10 out of 10, and I cannot wait to see it again.